Jake Morrison stood at the window of the spaceship USS Liberty. He looked out at the strange planet below. The world was covered in tall crystal towers that sparkled like diamonds in the sunlight. This was Zarian Prime, home to the first aliens that humans had ever met. Jake was nervous. He had been a soldier for 20 years, but today he was not here to fight. Today he was here to talk. The Earth government had chosen him to be their first ambassador to the aliens. They called themselves the Zephyrians. Captain Morrison, "We are ready to go down to the planet," said Dr. Lisa Harper. She was the ship's expert on alien life. Lisa had been studying the Zephyrians for months from space. She knew more about them than anyone else on the ship. Jake nodded. "Are you sure they want to meet us?" "Yes," Lisa said. "Queen Veltara herself sent the invitation. This is a great honor. The Zephyrians do not usually meet with outsiders." Jake put on his dress uniform. It was blue with gold buttons and made him look important. He checked his weapon one last time. He hoped he would not need it, but 20 years as a soldier had taught him to be ready for anything. The shuttle ride down to the planet was smooth. Jake looked out the window as they flew over the Crystal City. The buildings were tall and thin, reaching up toward the sky like fingers. Everything glowed with soft-colored light. It was beautiful, but also strange. The shuttle landed in a large courtyard made of smooth white stone. Zephyrian guards were waiting for them. Jake got his first close look at the aliens. They were tall, about 7 feet high. Their skin looked like it was made of green and blue metal. They had 4 arms and large black eyes. Their heads were shaped like triangles. "Remember," Lisa whispered to Jake as they walked toward the palace, "they communicate with their minds, as well as their voices. Queen Veltara can speak to any of her people just by thinking at them." Jake nodded. That was useful to know. The guards led them through corridors filled with more crystal walls. The light here was dim and blue. Jake could hear a soft humming sound coming from the walls themselves. Finally, they reached the throne room. It was a huge space with a high ceiling. In the center sat Queen Veltara on a throne made of black crystal. She was larger than the other Zephyrians and had 6 arms instead of 4. Her eyes glowed with silver light. "Welcome, humans," the Queen said. Her voice sounded like music mixed with the sound of metal hitting metal. "I am Queen Veltara, ruler of the Zephyrian Empire." Jake stepped forward and bowed. "Your Majesty, I am Captain Jake Morrison. I bring greetings from Earth and all of humanity. We come in peace." The Queen's eyes grew brighter. Peace is a word we hear often from new species, but words are easy to say. Actions show the truth. Jake felt sweat on his forehead. This was not going the way he had hoped. "What can we do to show you that we mean what we say?" Queen Veltara stood up from her throne. She was even taller than Jake had thought. "You may prove your peaceful nature by undergoing the trial of truth." "What is that?" Jake asked. "You will be placed in our sacred chamber. If your mind holds no evil thoughts toward our people, you will be safe. If you lie about your peaceful nature, the chamber will know." Jake looked at Lisa. She shrugged. They had not learned about this trial in their studies, but they had come too far to back down now. "I accept," Jake said. The Queen gestured with 2 of her arms. Guards moved forward and surrounded Jake. They led him to a smaller room next to the throne room. The walls here were covered in strange symbols that glowed and moved like living things. "Stand in the center," one of the guards said. Jake walked to the middle of the room. As soon as he stepped into position, The symbols on the walls began to glow brighter. The humming sound got louder. Jake felt something strange in his head, like someone was trying to look inside his thoughts. Then something went wrong. The symbols on the walls started flashing red. An alarm began to sound throughout the palace. Jake did not know what was happening, but he knew it was bad. The guards raised their weapons. They were long silver rods that crackled with blue energy. All of them were pointed at Jake. "Do not move, human," one of the guards shouted. Jake raised his hands in the air. "I do not understand. What is wrong?" Queen Velterra rushed into the chamber. Her silver eyes were now burning bright red. "The sacred chamber has detected a threat. You carry the mind of a killer." "That is not true," Jake said. "I came here in peace." "The chamber does not lie," the queen said. "You have killed, before, many times. The blood of the dead follows you like a shadow." Jake's heart sank. The chamber had detected his past as a soldier. He had killed people in war, but that did not make him evil. He had only fought to protect others. "Yes, I have killed," Jake said, "but only in war. Only to protect innocent people. I would never hurt anyone who did not threaten others first." "All killers say the same thing," Queen Velterra said. "Guards, prepare to eliminate this threat." The guards stepped closer. Their weapons hummed with deadly energy. Jake knew that in a few seconds, he would be dead. He closed his eyes and thought about his family back on Earth. He wished he could see them one more time. But the killing shot never came. Jake opened his eyes and saw that the guards had frozen in place. They still had their weapons aimed at him, but they were not moving. Queen Velterra was staring at something behind Jake with wide, shocked eyes. Jake slowly turned around to see what had caught the queen's attention. In the shadows behind him, 3 small Zephyrians were hiding. They were much smaller than the adults, about the size of human children. Their skin was lighter, more silver than green. They looked scared. "My children," Queen Velterra whispered. "What are you doing here?" The smallest of the 3 stepped forward. "We heard the loud sounds, Mother. We were frightened. We came to find you." Jake looked at the children, then at the queen, then at the guards who still had their weapons pointed at him. He realized that he was standing between the alien children and their mother's guards. If the guards fired now, they might hit the children by accident. The queen seemed to realize this too. Her face showed a mix of anger, fear, and confusion. She could not order her guards to shoot without risking her own children's lives. "Nobody move," Queen Velterra said quietly. "Nobody move at all." Jake stood perfectly still. Behind him, he could hear the soft breathing of the alien children. In front of him, the guards waited for orders that their queen could not give. And in the middle of it all, Jake realized that his life now depended on 3 small aliens who had wandered into the wrong place at the wrong time. The standoff had begun. Back on the USS Liberty, Dr. Lisa Harper watched the scene through a tiny camera on Jake's uniform. Her hands shook as she typed commands into her computer. She had to find a way to help Jake before it was too late. "Commander Sullivan, come quickly," Lisa called out. Commander Pete Sullivan ran to the communication room. He was Jake's second in command and had been waiting for news from the planet. "What is happening down there?" "Jake is in trouble," Lisa said. "The Zephyrians think he is dangerous because he used to be a soldier. But there is something else. Look at this," she pointed to the screen. Pete could see Jake standing very still, with alien guards pointing weapons at him. Behind Jake, 3 small aliens were hiding in the shadows. "Those are the Queen's children," Lisa said. I have been studying Zephyrian culture for months. In their society, children are the most important thing, more important than anything else. So what does that mean? Pete asked. It means queen. Veltara cannot let her guards shoot Jake without risking her children's lives. But there is more. According to my research, harming someone who protects children is considered a terrible crime in their culture, even if it happens by accident. Pete stared at the screen. So Jake is safe as long as those children stay behind him? Maybe. But Jake does not know this. He might move or try to get away from the children. If he does that, the guards will shoot him. Lisa started typing quickly on her communication device. She had to contact Jake and tell him what was happening. But the Zephyrians might be listening to human communications. "Jake, this is Lisa," she said quietly into her microphone. "Do not respond out loud. Just listen. The small beings behind you are the Queen's children. Do not move away from them. Your life depends on staying exactly where you are." On the planet, Jake heard Lisa's voice through his earpiece. He was confused but relieved to hear from his team. Now he understood why the guards had not shot him. Yet, the alien children behind him were protecting him without knowing it. But Jake also felt terrible. He did not want to use children as shields, even alien children. It went against everything he believed in. One of the children behind him made a soft sound. Jake could not understand the words, but the child sounded scared. Without thinking, Jake started to turn around to comfort the child. "Do not move!" Queen Veltara shouted. "Not one step!" Jake froze. He realized that any movement might make the situation worse, but he could still hear the frightened child behind him. "It's okay," Jake said softly without turning around. "Do not be afraid. I will not hurt you." The children did not understand his words, but his gentle tone seemed to calm them. The smallest one stepped closer to Jake. Without warning, the child reached out and touched Jake's hand. The moment the small alien touched him, Jake felt something strange in his mind. It was like a warm feeling spreading through his thoughts. He could sense the child's emotions: fear, curiosity, and something like trust. Queen Veltara gasped. Through her mental connection with her children, she could feel what they felt. She experienced Jake's mind through her child's touch. What she found there surprised her. Jake's mind was not full of evil thoughts or plans to hurt her people. Instead, she felt sadness, loneliness, and a deep need to protect others. She saw memories of Jake's past, not just the battles he had fought, but the people he had saved. She saw him carrying wounded soldiers to safety. She saw him sharing his food with hungry children in war zones. She saw him crying when he could not save everyone. "This is impossible," Queen Veltara whispered. "You are a warrior, but your mind is not dark." Jake heard the confusion in her voice. "I have fought in wars, Your Majesty, but I never fought for conquest or power. I fought to protect people who could not protect themselves." The child holding Jake's hand made another soft sound. This time it sounded less scared and more curious. The other two children stepped closer as well. "They are not afraid of you," Queen Veltara said, sounding amazed. "My children can sense the truth in your heart. They know you would not hurt them." One of the guards spoke up. "Your Majesty, this could be a trick. Humans might have ways to fool our senses." But Queen Veltara shook her head. Children cannot be fooled. Their minds are pure. They see truth that adults miss. Jake felt the smallest child tug on his hand. He looked down and saw large, silver eyes staring up at him. The child looked just like a smaller version of the Queen. but with softer features. "Hello, little one," Jake said gently. "My name is Jake. What is your name?" The child tilted its head and made a musical sound. Jake did not understand the alien language, but he smiled anyway. "Your Majesty," Jake said to the Queen, "may I ask your children's names?" Queen Veltara hesitated. In Zephyrian culture, telling an outsider the names of royal children was a sign of great trust, but her children seemed to like this strange, "Human! The one holding your hand is Princess Lyranith," she said slowly. "The others are Prince Zixtar and Prince Mordain." Jake nodded respectfully to each child. "It is an honor to meet you all." Prince Zixtar, who appeared to be the oldest, stepped forward. He looked up at Jake with bright, curious eyes. Then, he turned to his mother and made several quick sounds in the Zephyrian language. Queen Veltara's eyes widened. He says you smell like sadness, but also like kindness. He wants to know why you are sad." Jake felt his throat tighten. The alien child had somehow sensed his deep loneliness. Jake had lost his own family years ago in a war on Earth. Since then, he had dedicated his life to serving others, but he had never stopped feeling alone. "I lost my family long ago," Jake said quietly. "I miss them every day." Princess Lyraneth squeezed Jake's hand gently. Through their mental connection, Queen Veltara felt her daughter's compassion for the sad. "Human, my children understand loss," the Queen said. "Their father, my mate, died protecting our world from invaders 2 years ago. They know the pain you carry." Jake looked at the 3 young aliens with new understanding. They were orphans, just like he was. The difference was that they still had their mother, while Jake had no one left. "I am sorry for your loss, Your Majesty," Jake said, "and I am sorry that your children have had to experience such pain." Queen Veltara stared at Jake for a long moment. No outsider had ever expressed sympathy for her family's loss. Most aliens who came to her world only wanted trade deals or military alliances. They did not care about Zephyrian feelings. "Guards, lower your weapons," the Queen commanded suddenly. "Your Majesty?" one of the guards questioned. "I said lower your weapons. This human is not a threat to us." The guards looked confused but followed their Queen's orders. They lowered their energy weapons but stayed ready to raise them again quickly. Jake felt relief wash over him, but he did not move. The children were still close to him, and he did not want to frighten them. "Thank you, Your Majesty," Jake said. "I promise you that I came here only to build friendship between our peoples." Queen Veltara walked closer to Jake and her children. For the first time since the crisis began, she looked calm. "Perhaps," she said slowly, "there is more to humanity than we first believed. Perhaps it is time for us to learn about each other." But just as the situation seemed to be getting better, new alarms began to sound throughout the palace. Red lights flashed on the walls, and the humming sound grew louder and more urgent. A Zephyrian soldier ran into the chamber. "Your Majesty, General Kavthul requests your immediate presence in the war room. Our sensors have detected more human ships approaching the planet." Queen Veltara's face hardened. "More ships? How many?" 12 vessels, Your Majesty. They appear to be military ships." Jake felt his heart sink. Those would be the backup ships from Earth. If they arrived now, while tensions were still high, everything could go wrong. "Your Majesty, those ships are not here to attack," Jake said quickly. "They are rescue ships. My people sent them when they lost contact with my shuttle." "Rescue ships do not need to be warships," Queen Veltara said, coldly, The moment of understanding between them was slipping away. Jake could see suspicion returning to the Queen's eyes. The children sensed the change in mood and moved closer to their mother. "Please," Jake said, "let me contact my ships. I can tell them to stay away. I can prevent any fighting." Queen Veltara looked at her children, then at Jake, then at her guards. The fate of 2 entire civilizations might depend on what she decided in the next few minutes. "Very well," she said finally, "but if this is a trick, human, you will not live to regret it." Jake spoke quickly into his communication device. "Commander Sullivan, this is Jake. Do you hear me?" Pete's voice came through clearly. "Jake! Thank God you are alive. We lost contact with you and sent backup ships. They should be there soon." "Pete, you have to stop those ships," Jake said urgently. "Tell them to stay back. I am in the middle of delicate talks with Queen Veltara. If military ships arrive now, it could start a war. But Jake, our sensors show that Zephyrian weapons are aimed at you. The situation is under control." Jake lied. He looked at Queen Veltara, who was listening to every word. "Just keep the ships away from the planet. Give me more time." There was silence on the radio for a moment. Then Pete spoke again. "Okay, Jake. I trust you. But if things go bad, we are coming for you." Jake switched off his communicator and looked at the Queen. "I have asked my ships to stay away. I hope this shows you that I am serious about peace." Queen Veltara nodded slowly. "It is a start, but actions speak louder than words." Just then, Princess Lyraneth stumbled and fell to the ground. She made a small cry of pain. Jake saw that she was holding her left arm, and there was silver liquid on her hand, Zephyrian blood. Without thinking, Jake knelt down beside the injured child. "Let me see," he said gently. The Queen's guards immediately raised their weapons again. "Stay away from the princess," one of them shouted. But Jake ignored the weapons pointed at him. All he could see was a hurt child who needed help. "She is bleeding," he said to Queen Veltara. "Please, let me help her." "You are not a doctor," the Queen said. "Our medical staff will care for her." "I have military medical training," Jake replied. "I can stop the bleeding until your doctors arrive." Queen Veltara hesitated. Through her mental link with her daughter, she could feel the child's pain. Princess Lyraneth was scared and hurt, and for some reason she wanted the strange human to help her. "Mother," Princess Lyraneth said in her musical language, "the sad man wants to help me. I can feel his kindness." Queen Veltara looked at her injured daughter, then at Jake. "Very well, but if you harm her in any way—" "I would never hurt a child," Jake said firmly. "Never." Jake carefully examined the princess's arm. She had cut it on a sharp piece of crystal when she fell. The wound was not deep, but it was bleeding steadily. Jake took a clean cloth from his uniform and gently pressed it against the cut. Princess Lyraneth flinched at first, but then relaxed as she realized Jake was trying to help her. "There," Jake said softly. "That should stop the bleeding. You are very brave, Princess." Princess Lyraneth looked up at Jake with her large, silver eyes. She said something in her language that Jake did not understand. "She says thank you," Queen Veltara translated. "And she says you have gentle hands for a warrior." Jake smiled at the little princess. "Tell her that she is welcome, and tell her that warriors should always protect those who cannot protect themselves." Queen Veltara spoke to her daughter in their language. Princess Lyraneth listened. then looked at Jake with even more curiosity. Prince Zixtar, the oldest child, stepped closer to Jake. "Why do you help us?" he asked in broken English. "We are not your people." Jake was surprised that the prince could speak some human language. "Where did you learn English?" "I study many languages," the prince said proudly. "Mother says knowledge is power." "Your mother is wise," Jake said, "and to answer your question, I help you because you needed help. It does not matter that we are different species. All children deserve to be safe and cared for." Prince Zixtar tilted his head, thinking about Jake's words. "On our world, most adults only care for their own families. You are strange." Jake laughed. "I suppose I am, but being strange is not always bad." Queen Veltara watched this exchange with growing amazement. Her children were talking to an alien as if he were a family friend. In all her years as queen, she had never seen anything like it. The youngest prince, Mordain, had been quiet until now. But suddenly he walked up to Jake and held out a small crystal toy. "For you," Mordain said in his own language. "He wants to give you his favorite toy," Queen Veltara explained. "It is a great honor. Zephyrian children only share their treasures with people they trust completely." Jake carefully took the crystal toy. It was warm to the touch and seemed to glow with its own light. "This is beautiful," he said to Mordain. "Thank you. I will treasure it." Mordain smiled, or at least Jake thought it was a smile. The little alien's features lit up with happiness. But not everyone in the room was happy with what they were seeing. General Cavathul, the Queen's military advisor, entered the chamber with several more guards. "Your Majesty," the general said, in a harsh voice, "what is the meaning of this? Why is the human allowed to touch the royal children?" Queen Veltara stood up straighter. "General Cavathul, this human has proven that his intentions are peaceful. He helped my injured daughter. It could be a trick," the general said. "Humans are known to be clever and deceptive. Perhaps he hurt the princess on purpose so he could pretend to heal her." Jake stood up, still holding the crystal toy. "I would never hurt a child for any reason. Your princess was already injured when I found her." General Cavathul looked at Jake with cold, suspicious eyes. "You expect us to believe that a warrior race has suddenly become peaceful? Your very presence here proves that humans are expanding into our territory." "We are explorers, not conquerors," Jake said. "We came here hoping to make friends, not enemies." "Friends?" the general laughed bitterly. "Every alien race that has contacted us has eventually tried to conquer us or steal from us. Why should humans be different?" Queen Veltara stepped between Jake and the general. "Because my children trust him, Cavathul, and children see truth that adults often miss." "Children can be fooled, Your Majesty. They are too young to understand the dangers of the universe." Princess Lyraneth, still holding the cloth against her wounded arm, spoke up in her musical language. She sounded angry. "What did she say?" Jake asked. Queen Veltara looked surprised. "She said that General Cavathul is wrong. She said you have a good heart, and that anyone who cannot see that is blind." General Cavathul's face darkened. "The princess is too young to understand these matters." "I am not too young," Princess Lyraneth said, switching to English. "I can feel his thoughts when I touch him. He is sad and lonely, but he is good. He thinks about protecting people, not hurting them." Jake was amazed. He had not realized that the princess could speak English, too. Prince Zixtar nodded. The sad man lost his family like we lost father, but instead of becoming angry, he became kind. That is why he helps other people's children. General Kavthul looked at the royal children with shock. Your Majesty, the children have been contaminated by human mental influence. This proves how dangerous the alien is. No, Queen Veltara said firmly. My children have not been contaminated. They have been enlightened. This human has shown them that not all outsiders are enemies. Your Majesty, I must insist that you reconsider. The safety of our empire depends on maintaining our strength. If other species see us showing weakness to humans, they will think we can be conquered. Jake could see that the general was creating doubt in the Queen's mind. He had to do something to prove that humans could be trusted. General Kavthul, Jake said, what would convince you that my people come in peace? The general smiled coldly. Nothing. I have seen too much war to believe in peace. Then you and I are more alike than you think, Jake said. I have also seen too much war. That is exactly why I want peace. Before the general could respond, more alarms began to sound. A soldier ran into the chamber. Your Majesty, General! Our long-range sensors have detected an unknown fleet approaching from deep space. They are not human ships. Queen Veltara felt her blood turn cold. How many ships? At least 50, Your Majesty. And they are armed for war. General Kavathul looked triumphant. You see, Your Majesty, the humans were just the first wave. Now their allies are coming to invade us. Those are not our allies, Jake said quickly. I have never seen ships like that before. Of course you would deny it, the general sneered. But Queen Veltara was looking at Jake carefully. Through her connection with her children, who were still touching Jake, she could sense his emotions. He was not lying. He really had never seen those ships before. General, the Queen said slowly, if those ships belong to neither humans nor Zephyrians, then who do they belong to? The soldier who had brought the news looked frightened. Your Majesty, based on their design and energy signatures, we believe they belong to the Void Hunters. Everyone in the room went silent. Even the children looked scared. Who are the Void Hunters? Jake asked. The worst enemy our galaxy has ever known, Queen Veltara said quietly. They destroy entire worlds for sport. They have been moving through this sector of space for months, wiping out civilizations. Jake felt ice in his veins. And they are coming here? It appears so, the Queen said. And now, with human ships in our space and Void Hunter ships approaching, we are caught between two potential enemies. Jake looked at the three royal children, who were huddling close to their mother. He thought about his crew on the USS Liberty. He thought about all the innocent people on both sides who would die if a war started. Your Majesty, Jake said, what if humans and Zephyrians work together to fight the Void Hunters? General Kavthul laughed harshly. War. General Kavthul's face turned dark with anger. Your Majesty, you cannot be serious about working with these humans. It goes against everything our people believe. Queen Veltara held up one of her hands. What our people believe has not saved us from the Void Hunters. Perhaps it is time to believe in something new. But Your Majesty, the general argued, humans are weak. They have soft skin and small bodies. What help could they possibly give us against the Void Hunters? Jake stepped forward. General, humans may look weak, but we have survived wars that would destroy other species. We are good at finding ways to win even when we are outnumbered. Prove it, General Cavathul said with a sneer. Before Jake could answer, Lieutenant Ben Carter's voice came through the communication system. Ben was the USS Liberty's communications officer. Captain Morrison, this is Lieutenant Carter. I have been listening to the Zephyrian communication networks. Sir, there are reports of Void Hunter ships attacking the outer planets of this system. They will reach this planet in less than 6 hours. Queen Veltara's eyes went wide. 6 hours? That is not enough time to prepare our defenses. Jake spoke into his communicator. Ben, patch me through to Commander Sullivan. Right away, sir. Pete's voice came through a moment later. Jake, we heard about the Void Hunters. What do you need from us? Pete, I need you to contact Earth Command. Tell them we have a chance to make an alliance with the Zephyrians, but we need to work together to fight a common enemy. Jake, Earth Command is going to want to know more about these aliens before they agree to any alliance. Jake looked at Queen Veltara and her children. Tell them that the Zephyrians are honorable people who love their families just like we do. Tell them that their children are the bravest and kindest I have ever met. Princess Lyraneth smiled when she heard Jake's words. Prince Zixtar stood up straighter with pride. General Cavathul was not impressed. Pretty words will not stop Void Hunter warships. You are right, Jake said. But working together might. Your people have powerful weapons and strong defenses. My people have tactics and strategies that the Void Hunters have never seen before. Queen Veltara was thinking hard. General, how many ships do we have ready for battle? 23 warships, Your Majesty, plus the planetary defense systems. And the humans have 12 ships, Jake added. That gives us 35 ships, total against 50 Void Hunter vessels. Still not enough, the general said. Maybe not, Jake agreed, but it is better than fighting alone. Prince Zixtar tugged on his mother's robe. When she looked down at him, he spoke in the Zephyrian language. What did he say? Jake asked. Queen Veltara looked surprised. He said that in all the stories about great battles, the heroes always work together. He said that lone warriors usually die, but teams of heroes usually win. Jake smiled at the young prince. Your son is very wise, Your Majesty. He gets that from his father, the queen said sadly. My mate always believed that cooperation was stronger than conflict. General Cavathul made a disgusted sound. Your Majesty, with respect, this is not the time for children's stories. We need real battle plans. Then let's make some, Jake said. General, can you show me your defense plans? The general looked at Queen Veltara, who nodded. Reluctantly, he activated a holographic display that showed the planet and the surrounding space. Our main fleet is positioned here, the general said, pointing to spots of light around the planet. The Void Hunters will likely attack from this direction, where our defenses are weakest. Jake studied the display carefully. What if we move some of your ships to create a false weakness over here instead? Then, when the Void Hunters attack that position, both human and Zephyrian ships can surround them. General Cavathul frowned as he looked at Jake's suggested plan. That might actually work, but it would require perfect timing between our fleets. My communications officer can create a shared command network, Jake said. Our ships and yours could coordinate their attacks precisely. For the first time since Jake had met him, General Cavathul looked impressed. You have clearly thought about space battles before. I have fought in many of them, Jake said. I learned that the side with better teamwork usually wins, even if they have fewer ships. Queen Veltara watched this exchange with growing hope. It seems that humans and Zephyrians have more in common than we first thought. But their planning was interrupted when another soldier rushed into the chamber. Your Majesty, the Void Hunters have just destroyed the mining station on the third moon, and they sent a message. What kind of message? The Queen asked. They demand that we surrender all our children to them, or they will destroy every living thing on this planet. The room went completely silent. Queen Veltara's face turned pale. Her 3 children moved closer to her, sensing their mother's fear. They want our children? Princess Lyraneth asked in a small voice. The Void Hunters take children from conquered worlds and turn them into soldiers, Queen Veltara explained to Jake. The children forget their families and serve only the Void, hunters for the rest of their lives. Jake felt anger burning in his chest. The idea of anyone taking children from their families made him furious. That will never happen. Not while I am alive. General Cavathul looked at Jake with new respect. You would fight to protect Zephyrian children? Children who are not even your own species? Children are children, Jake said firmly. It does not matter what planet they come from or what they look like. All children deserve to be safe with their families. Prince Mordain, the youngest, walked up to Jake and took his hand. Will you really protect us from the bad aliens? Jake knelt down, so he was at the same level as the little prince. I promise you that I will do everything in my power to keep you and all the children on this planet safe. Through her mental connection with her son, Queen Veltara felt the absolute sincerity in Jake's promise. This human really would die before he let harm come to children. General Cavathul, the Queen said suddenly, I am ordering you to work with Captain Morrison and his people. We will fight the Void Hunters together. The general stood at attention. Yes, Your Majesty. What are your orders? Captain Morrison will help plan our battle strategy. I want our fastest ships to evacuate all children from the outer settlements and bring them to the capital city. And I want a message sent to the human fleet telling them they are welcome to join our defense. Jake spoke into his communicator. Again. Commander Sullivan, did you hear that? I heard everything, Jake. I am already sending the Queen's invitation to Earth Command. But Jake, even if they approve the alliance, it will take hours for more human ships to get here. Then we fight with what we have, Jake said. Sometimes that is enough. General Cavathul was working quickly on the battle plans. Captain Morrison, your idea about the false weakness could work, but we need to know more about human weapons and tactics. I will share everything I know, Jake said. But first, we need to make sure the children are safe. Queen Veltara nodded. The royal children will be taken to the deepest bunker beneath the palace. It is the safest place on the planet. No, Princess Lyraneth said suddenly. I do not want to hide while others fight. You are too young to fight, her mother said, gently. But I can help in other ways, the princess insisted. I can use my mind powers to help coordinate the ships during battle. Jake looked confused. Mind powers? Royal children are born with stronger mental abilities than normal Zephyrians, Queen Veltara explained. Lyraneth can communicate across vast distances using only her thoughts. General Cavathul's eyes lit up. Your Majesty, the princess could serve as a backup communication system if the Void Hunters jam our normal communications. Absolutely not, the Queen said. I will not put my daughter in danger. Mother, Prince Zixtar said, if we hide while others die for us, how will we ever be worthy rulers? Queen Veltara looked at her 3 children. They were scared, but they were also brave. They wanted to help protect their people. There might be a way, Jake said slowly. The royal children could stay in the communication center here in the palace. It is well protected, but they could still help coordinate the battle. And I could stay with them, Jake added. If any void hunters get past our defenses and reach the palace, I will make sure the children stay safe. General Kavthul stared at Jake. You would give up the chance to fight in space to guard children instead? Protecting children is the most important battle there is, Jake said. Queen Veltara felt tears in her eyes. She had never met anyone from another species who understood the importance of children the way Jake did. Very well, she said finally. The children will help from the communication center, and Captain Morrison will guard them. General, you will command our fleet in space. What about you, Your Majesty? The general asked. I will command the planetary. Defenses from the war room. If the void hunters want to take our children, they will have to go through every adult on this planet first. Jake looked around the room at the Zephyrian queen, her children, and her general. A few hours ago, they had been strangers from different worlds. Now they were allies preparing to fight together for the most important cause in the universe, protecting the innocent. How long until the void hunters arrive? Jake asked. General Kavthul checked his displays. 4 hours and 37 minutes. Then the communications center in the royal palace buzzed with activity. Jake stood behind Princess Lyraneth as she sat at a strange crystal control panel. Her small hands moved over the glowing symbols as she connected her mind to Zephyrian ships across the star system. I can feel all our pilots, she said to Jake. They are scared but ready to fight. Prince Zixtar sat at another panel, monitoring the positions of enemy ships. The void hunters are 2 hours away now, he reported. Prince Mordain, the youngest, was helping track evacuations from the outer settlements. The children from the mining colonies are safe now, he announced proudly. Jake watched the 3 royal children working together and felt amazed. They were so young, but they were already showing the wisdom and courage of true leaders. Captain Morrison, came General Kavthul's voice through the communication system. Human and Zephyrian fleets are in position. Are the children ready to coordinate our attacks? Jake looked at Princess Lyraneth, who nodded confidently. We are ready, General. Good. The void hunters will be here in 90 minutes. Jake's earpiece crackled to life. Jake, this is Pete. Earth Command has approved the alliance. We are working with the Zephyrians as full partners now. That is excellent news, Jake replied. How are our people getting along with the Zephyrian crews? Better than expected. Turns out both species really hate the void hunters. Nothing builds friendship faster than a common enemy. Suddenly, all the alarms in the palace began to sound. Prince Zixtar looked up from his panel with wide eyes. The void hunters are here early. They have 57 ships, and they are moving much faster than we expected. Jake grabbed his communicator. All ships, this is Captain Morrison. The enemy has arrived ahead of schedule. Execute defense plan immediately. Through the crystal panels, Jake could see images of space around the planet. The Void Hunter ships were massive dark vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They looked like giant metal insects with weapons bristling from every surface. Jake, Princess Lyraneth said urgently, the Void Hunter commander is sending another message. He says if we give them all our children now, he will kill the adults quickly instead of slowly. Jake felt anger burning in his chest. Tell the Void Hunter commander that his answer is no. We will never give up our children. Princess Lyraneth sent the message through her mental powers. A moment later, she gasped. What did he say? Jake asked. He said that human children taste just as good as Zephyrian children, the princess whispered. Jake's hands clenched into fists. That monster just made a very big mistake. The battle began with flashes of light in the darkness of space. Zephyrian ships fired beams of pure energy while human ships launched guided missiles. The Void Hunter vessels responded with weapons that seemed to tear holes in space itself. Our ships are working together perfectly, Prince Zixtar reported. The false weakness plan is working. The Void Hunters are taking the bait. Jake watched the battle through the crystal displays. He could see human and Zephyrian ships moving in perfect coordination, like dancers performing a deadly ballet. But then something went wrong. A group of Void Hunter ships broke away from the main battle and headed straight for the planet. They are trying to land ground troops, Prince Mordain said with fear in his voice. How many ships? Jake asked. 7. They are heading for the capital city. Jake spoke into his communicator. General Kavthul, we have enemy ships heading for the planet. I see them, Captain, but I cannot break away from the main battle to stop them. If I do, the Void Hunters will overwhelm our fleet. Jake looked at the 3 children who were depending on him to keep them safe. He thought about all the other children in the city below. He made his decision. General, stay with the fleet. I will handle the ground invasion. Captain, you are only one man. How can you stop 7 ships full of Void Hunter soldiers? Jake smiled grimly. You would be surprised what one determined human can do. He turned to the royal children. I need you 3 to stay here and keep coordinating the space battle. Can you do that? Yes, Princess Lyraneth said bravely. But where are you going? I am going to make sure those Void Hunter soldiers never reach any children. Jake ran through the palace corridors toward the main entrance. Behind him, he could hear the sounds of enemy ships landing in the city. He grabbed weapons from the palace guards, a Zephyrian energy rifle and his own human sidearm. As he reached the palace courtyard, he saw the first Void Hunter soldiers approaching. They were tall, thin creatures with too many arms and faces that looked like skulls covered in metal. They moved in perfect formation, like a machine made of living parts. Jake took cover behind a crystal fountain and opened fire. His first shots took down 3 Void Hunters, but there were dozens more. Behind them, "Human!" one of the creatures called out in a voice like grinding metal. "Give us the royal children, and we will make your death quick." "Come and take them," Jake shouted back. The battle was fierce. Jake used every trick he had learned in 20 years of fighting. He moved from cover to cover, using the palace's crystal architecture to hide and ambush the enemy soldiers. But there were too many of them. For every Void Hunter Jake shot, 2 more took its place. Soon he was surrounded in the main courtyard with nowhere left to run. "You fought well, human," the Void Hunter commander said as his soldiers closed in. "But now you die. And then we take the children." Jake was about to make his last stand when something unexpected happened. Zephyrian guards poured into the courtyard from every entrance. But these were not ordinary guards. They were civilians. Parents, teachers, shopkeepers, and workers who had grabbed whatever weapons they could find. "No one threatens our children," one of them shouted. "The human fights for our young ones," called another. "We fight with him." Jake found himself fighting alongside dozens of Zephyrian civilians who had come to defend their children. Together, they drove the Void Hunter soldiers back through the city streets. In the communication center, Princess Lyraneth felt what was happening through her mental connection to the city's population. "The whole city is fighting," she told her brothers in amazement. Everyone is working together to protect the children. Just like Jake said they would, Prince Zixtar replied. He said that parents will always fight to protect their young, no matter what species they are. The space battle was also turning in favor of the Alliance. Human tactics combined with Zephyrian firepower proved to be devastating against the Void Hunters. "Enemy ships are retreating," came General Kavthul's excited voice. "We are winning!" But on the planet's surface, Jake was in trouble. He had been wounded in the fighting and was trapped in a building with a group of Zephyrian children from a school that had not been evacuated in time. The children were terrified as Void Hunter soldiers surrounded the building. Jake checked his weapons and found that he was almost out of ammunition. "Do not worry," he told the frightened children, even though he did not speak their language. "I will not let them hurt you." The children might not have understood his words, but they understood his tone. They gathered around Jake, trusting him to protect them. That was when Princess Lyraneth made a decision that changed everything. Against her mother's orders, she left the communication center and ran toward the building where Jake was trapped. "Princess, come back!" the palace guards called after her. But Princess Lyraneth had a plan. As a royal child, her mental powers were much stronger than those of ordinary Zephyrians. She reached out with her mind and connected to every Zephyrian in the city at the same time. Through this connection, she shared Jake's memories, his sadness at losing his own family, his determination to protect others, and his genuine love for all children, regardless of their species. Every adult Zephyrian in the city suddenly understood what Princess Lyraneth already knew, that Jake was not just fighting for them, he was fighting for the idea that all children deserved to be safe and loved. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. Every Zephyrian adult in the city stopped what they were doing and converged on the building where Jake was making his last stand. The Void Hunter soldiers found themselves facing not just one human, but an entire city of parents who would do anything to protect their young. The final Void Hunter commander on the planet sent a desperate message to his fleet. "Retreat! Repeat, retreat! This world has gone insane!" Within minutes, the remaining Void Hunter ships were fleeing into deep space, pursued by the combined human Zephyrian fleet. Jake sat on the steps of the school building, surrounded by the children he had protected. He was tired and wounded, but alive. Princess Lyraneth ran up to him and threw her small arms around his neck. "You did it," she said in English. "You kept us all safe." "We all did it," Jake corrected her. "Humans and Zephyrians together." Queen Veltara arrived shortly after, along with General Kavthul and Commander Sullivan from the USS Liberty. "Captain Morrison," the Queen said formally, "by the ancient laws of our people, you have proven yourself to be a protector of children. This gives you the right to be considered family." Jake looked up at her in surprise. "Family? If you accept, you would become an honorary guardian of my children and all children on this world. You would be welcome here for the rest of your life." Jake looked at Princess Lyraneth, who was still hugging him. He looked at Prince Zix.